I've been using these adjustable Sawhorses in the shop for a while now. You may have even seen them pop up in some of my other videos. What makes them so cool? Well, for starters, they're fully height adjustable, which means I can raise or lower them depending on the project. And bonus, they're stackable, which is a great feature to have in my small shop where space is always a premium. Now, I didn't film the original build because I was trying to get them done fast. And if you ever tried filming a project, you know it easily triples the amount of time it takes. But today I'm going to take you through every step of the build process. Every cut, every angle, all the hardware, and I've even created a downloadable set of plans to make it easy if you want to build your own. And I really don't need 2 sets of these because I just don't have the space for it. So if you want this original set, send me an email and I'll give these away to whoever wants them. I'll be making a few tweaks as I go, adjusting the height range to better suit my shop and a few other small design details to make them more useful. And in this video, I'm going to break down the material costs so you can decide if it's worth building your own or just sticking with what you got. Alright, let's kick things off with a list of what you'll need. 6-inch cedar decking, 6-footers, 7 of those, maybe an extra one just in case. Something to measure angles with, measuring tape and a square, a drill driver, safety gear, wood glue, something to cut with, a 1 1/8 inch paddle bit or Forstner bit, screws, 2 inches, 1 5/8, and 3/4 inches. 4 3/4 inch pipe clamps, you only need the bottom half, 4 threaded pipe flanges, and 4 threaded pipe end caps, 4 3/4 inch threaded pipes, 18 inches long, 8 1/2 lag screws with washers, 2 strut channels or uni-struts, 2 feet in length, and 3/8 inch nylon cord, about 12 feet in length. I'm using 5/4 cedar decking. It's lightweight, easy to work with, and I like the added thickness. At my local Menards, the boards come 5.5 inches wide, 6 feet long, and roughly 1 inch thick. That's the 5/4 part. If you're working with something different, like 1x4 pine, you'll just need to tweak a few measurements for length and width. No big deal. I'll start by cutting to length 6 boards that we'll use for the top plates. Remember, we're building 2 Sawhorses, and each Sawhorse uses 3 top plates. I'll be showing the process for just one, but as you go, make sure you're cutting parts for both. That way you don't have to reset your tools later. For the top plates, you'll need 1 work plate cut to 40 inches, and 2 more long pieces at 36 inches. If you're careful with your cuts, you can get 2 of these from 1 6-foot board. Next, I'm heading to the table saw to rip what I'm calling the leg mount. It's going to get a 12-degree bevel on both sides. This determines the splay angle for the legs. Once beveled, the top of the leg mount will be 4.5 inches wide, and the bottom will land around 4 3/4 inches. The top plate that sits on top of this should match the top width of the leg mount, so it'll be 4.5 inches wide and 36 inches long. For the adjustable top, we'll need a plate that's 4.5 inches wide also, and 40 inches long. I'm going to cut that now and set it aside for later. Before we lay out the leg positions, we need to cut the legs to final width and rough length. That way we can use one of them to lay out the notches in the leg mount accurately. My cedar deck boards are 5.5 inches wide with rounded edges, so I'm trimming off the roundover and ripping them down to 2.5 inches wide. This will give me strong, square-edged legs. If you're using 1x4s, your legs will be a bit thinner and wider, which is fine, just adjust the notch dimensions to match. To get a flush fit at the top, we'll cut a notch in the leg mount for each leg. Start by measuring 4 inches in from the end of each leg mount. That's where the notch begins. Then use a 15-degree angle to lay out the leg placement. I'm guessing most people have a speed square, so that's what I'm going to use. Although I don't typically measure angles with this. Place your leg along that 15-degree line, scribe the other side, and now you have your layout for the notch. If you clamp the 2 leg mounts together, you can transfer your layout lines to all 4 notches. Just double check your angles are mirrored properly. The depth of the notch should match the thickness of your leg material. I just used one of the legs as a reference to set the blade depth on my circular saw. Align and clamp your parts together to cut both notches at the same time for a consistent fit. Make sure you're cutting on the inside of the lines. We want a nice snug fit for maximum stability. Now for the compound angle cuts. You'll need a left and a right for each end, so we're making 4 lefts and 4 rights total. The miter angle is 15 degrees. This controls the splay front to back. The bevel angle is 12 degrees. This controls the side-to-side splay. You can do this on a compound miter saw, or set your table saw blade to 12 degrees and use a miter gauge set to 15 degrees. Both work. Use whatever you're more comfortable with. For length, measure 27.5 inches from long to short after your first compound cut. Mark it, square it across, and make your second cut. This ensures top and bottom cuts stay parallel. Okay, if you're going to screw up, this is where it's going to happen, on the legs, because you have compound miters and you have 4 lefts and 4 rights. Right now, these are all the same actually. If you flip it end for end, the bevel is the same, the angle is the same. What's going to set them apart is when we dog ear the bottom corners, and that will determine a top from a bottom. So at this stage, I'm just selecting my best face for the outside. So at this angle, this will be a right side. So label each one so you don't mess up. Then I like to nip off the bottom corners at 45 degrees. Makes the legs less likely to splinter when you drag them across the floor. Time to join the top plate to the leg mount. You can glue it, screw it, or both. I'm going to go with glue to keep the look clean, but if you're using screws, make sure you lay out your pipe clamp locations first so you don't put a screw where you'll be drilling a hole later. What? What happened? Oh my gosh, that is so way wrong. I measured my angles wrong. And they're all wrong. All 8 of them are wrong. And now these are glued together. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to redo everything. I think I know what I did wrong. Yep. I took this to the 15 degree mark and marked it this way instead of this side. So I was 15 off of 45 instead of 15 off of 90. Oh no. Well, that's embarrassing. After glue up, I'll nip off the ends at a 45 degree angle to soften the corners and save my legs from future bruises. Now we'll screw the legs to the top rail. I'm using 2-inch Torx drive construction screws here. Future Brett here. I discovered that one of the leg screws ended up right in the middle of where I wanted to drill the hole for the pipe clamp. So to prevent messing up your drill bit, either use shorter screws here or pull your screws up before you drill your hole. Alright, let's get back to where we were. To prevent splitting, even though it's soft wood, we'll need to drill some countersunk pilot holes. If you're OCD like I am, you can make a little cardboard template the same size as the leg to speed this up and keep everything uniform. You may want to drill your pilot holes with the leg in place. This will help you hit the thick part of the leg mount without splitting out the underside. Repeat for all 8 legs. With the legs on, we need to add bracing to stiffen everything up. You could just screw a board across each side and call it good, but we're going to take it a step further, make it look clean, match the angles, and add some serious strength. I'm ripping my braces out of the same 5.5-inch cedar decking, splitting it down the middle to get pieces that are about 2.5 inches wide. You'll need 4 long braces, 2 per sawhorse, and 4 short end braces. For the long braces, I bevel both long edges at 12 degrees to match the side angle of the legs. The ends get a 15 degree bevel to match the leg splay front to back. To figure out the exact length, I prop the brace up across the legs with a couple of 9-inch plywood offcuts. Then just scribe the location. At this stage of the build, there's a bit of play in the legs. See that? So getting the angles just right is a bit of a guessing game. But if you download the plans, I've already done the math and included the dimensions so you don't have to guess. Now, you may run into a situation like this where things don't quite line up, and that is why these are cut to the exact same length as each other, because wood, having the nature that it has, sometimes this kind of stuff will happen. So it's kind of helpful to have a long clamp where you can kind of persuade it into position. It's also helpful to have this blocking that it's cut to 9 inches on both sides so that it's at the right level, and it's also square to the table and everything, so you can see if there's a gap in your legs. We'll trust the measurements and what they're supposed to be rather than relying on relative markings. Once you've got one, gang cut the other 3 with the same angle at the miter saw. Just like with the legs, I use a cardboard template for screw placement, this time in a triangular pattern, and attach them with 1 5/8 inch screws. Appreciate the symmetry. Now we'll brace the ends. This is a little trickier because the legs can still flex a bit until the brace locks them in. Here's the method that works the best. Cut one end of the brace at 12 degrees, temporarily attach it flush to the outside of the long brace. Use a digital angle finder or a speed square to dial in that 12 degrees on the other leg. Clamp it in place and mark the cut line on the other end. Now you got a perfect fit. You can cut these one by one or gang cut the rest once you've got one done, whatever you feel comfortable with. To attach these, I put 2 screws into the leg and 1 into the end of the long brace. Just stagger the screws so they're not all in the same axis. It helps avoid splitting. By the way, I should mention that I got a lot of my design and build process ideas from a video by Matt Jackson on the Next Level Carpentry channel. The height adjustment portion that's coming later in this video I got from Alicia Albertson on her YouTube channel called Pneumatic Addict. I just combined the two and made some modifications, so I need to give them both props for their design ideas, and I'll link their videos in the description. With the base structure done, I'm adding some plywood gussets where the legs meet the top rail. These do 2 things. They add diagonal support right where the splay force is the strongest, and help the Sawhorses nest together without binding. I'm cutting mine from 1/2 inch plywood, 5 inches wide, with a 15-degree bevel on both top and bottom edges. That matches the angles we've been using so everything sits flush. To fit them perfectly, just scribe the angle onto each Sawhorse and trim to fit. Then attach with 2 screws on each side. Now for the cool part, the adjustable height mechanism. Here's what I'm using. One end of a pair of 3/4 inch pipe clamps, 2 18-inch long 3/4 inch steel threaded pipes, 1 2-foot section of unistrut channel, a couple of 3/4 inch floor flanges and pipe end caps, and 3/8 inch nylon rope. First, I lay everything out on top of the completed Sawhorse. This helps line up the clamp mechanism before we drill anything. You want a little bit of wiggle room between the strut channel and the clamp so it doesn't bind. You'll need to drill 2 holes in the top rail, 1 1/8 inches in diameter, to fit the 3/4 inch pipe. The drill guide helps me drill straight down. Again, OCD. Bonus tip. Grab the 40-inch board we cut earlier, dog-eared to match the rest of the build. Flip it upside down and center it under the inverted Sawhorse before you drill, and you'll have the exact location for where to attach the floor flanges. Next, drill mounting holes through the clamp feet. That way you can screw them down securely. Thread the 18-inch pipes into the flanges, slide the pipe clamp mechanism over the pipes, and then insert the whole assembly down into the holes on the Sawhorse top rail. Thread on the pipe end caps underneath. That prevents the whole thing from lifting out when you're adjusting the height. Now lay the Unistrut channel back in position on top. Pick 2 holes near the ends and mark through them. Drill a 7/16 inch hole straight through the top rail of the Sawhorse. Run your rope up through the holes and stitch it through the Unistrut, and then tie a strong knot underneath. Melt the ends so they don't fray. Now let's see what these things can do. The lower height is perfect for working on taller pieces without hitting my low ceiling. And when I need to do detailed work, I just raise the top for a more comfortable work height. I went with a longer top plate to give me more clamping clearance at the ends, and I'm really glad I did. If you want to take it even further, check out Pneumatic Addict's video. She shows how to make interchangeable tops for these Sawhorses depending on the task. If you'd like to build a pair of these for your own shop, I've got a detailed set of plans available over at brettsbasementwoodshop.com. I'll give the link down in the description as well. Thanks again for watching, and if you want the original pair I built, just shoot me an email from my channel page. They're up for grabs. God bless.